On a summer night in 1912, in the small, unsuspecting town of Villisca, Iowa, a crime of unimaginable brutality occurred. 8 people, a family of 6 and 2 young guests, were murdered in their beds with an axe. The killer left behind a perplexing and disturbing scene, and an investigation that would lead to dead ends, false accusations, and a mystery that has haunted the community for over a century. This is the story of the Villisca Axe Murders, and the tragic legacy of the house that still stands today. Please hit that like button to help get this video out to more people, and subscribe to help the channel grow. I thank you. Now let's jump into it. Villisca, in the early 20th century, was a town of about 2,500 people. It was a place where everyone knew their neighbors. Josiah Moore was a respected businessman and patriarch. His wife, Sarah, was a devoted mother. Their children were Herman, Catherine, Boyd, and Paul. That Sunday, June 9th, was Children's Day at the Presbyterian Church. The Moore children were joined by their friends, the Stillinger sisters, Ina and Lena, for an overnight visit. The last time anyone saw the family alive, they were walking home from church around 10 p.m., happy and unsuspecting. The next morning, a neighbor, Mary Peckham, became concerned after she noticed the family had not come out to do their morning chores. She knocked on the door and received no answer. She let out the family's chickens and called Josiah's brother, Ross Moore. Like Peckham, Ross received no response. Using his copy of the house key, he entered the home and opened the guest bedroom door, where he found the bodies of Ina and Lena Stillinger. Moore immediately told Peckham to call Henry Hank Horton, Villisca's peace officer. What happened next would fatally compromise the entire investigation. By 8:40 a.m., an all-call alert went out, and within minutes, the house was rushed by townspeople. In the chaos that followed, the crime scene was utterly contaminated, with some people reportedly stealing pieces of Josiah's skull as souvenirs. The murder weapon itself was handled by hundreds of people. The county coroner, Dr. Lindquist, was horrified by the constant influx of people, and it wasn't until around 10:30 a.m. that the National Guard was called in to establish a secure perimeter. The bodies were not removed until nearly 2 a.m. the following morning, almost 24 hours after the murders had occurred. The details of the crime scene that were preserved were both baffling and deeply disturbing. All 8 victims had been bludgeoned with an axe while they slept. Josiah Moore received more blows than any other victim. His face had been so severely disfigured that his eyes were completely destroyed. A gouge mark in the ceiling above his bed showed the force with which the killer swung the axe. The killer then moved on to Herman, Mary Catherine, Arthur, and Paul, who were bludgeoned in the head in the same manner as their parents. The murderer then returned to the master bedroom to inflict more blows on the elder Moores, before moving downstairs to the guest bedroom and killing Ina and Lena. In a bizarre and unexplained detail, the killer used the blade of the axe on Sarah, while using the blunt end on all the other victims. The victims' faces were all covered with bed sheets, and adding to the eerie atmosphere, every mirror in the house was covered with clothing or blankets. The killer had seemingly spent time in the home. 2 spent cigarettes were found in the attic, suggesting they had waited there for the family to fall asleep. And the doctors concluded that the murders had taken place between midnight and 5 a.m. The murder weapon, Josiah's axe, was found next to a 4-pound slab of bacon in the guest room where the Stillinger sisters were found. A gas lamp, with its glass chimney removed and the wick turned down low, providing only the faintest bit of light, was left upstairs. Investigators also found untouched food and bloody water on the kitchen table during the search, and a fragment of a keychain, not belonging to anyone in the family, was also found downstairs. Investigators believe all the victims except for Lena Stillinger had been asleep. Lena was found lying crosswise on the bed with a defensive wound on her arm. Her undergarments had been removed, and her body was positioned to reveal her genitalia, leading to initial speculation that she had been sexually molested. However, later investigations show no evidence of this. The mishandled investigation led to a multitude of suspects and theories, and decades of finger-pointing. Reverend George Kelly. The most prominent suspect was an English-born traveling minister named George Kelly. He was in Villisca on the night of the murders, and had a peculiar past, with a history of mental instability and being accused of peeping. In the weeks after the murders, he wrote numerous letters to police and investigators, displaying a bizarre fascination with the case. He eventually confessed to the murders, but later recanted, claiming his confession was coerced. Despite 2 separate trials, he was ultimately acquitted. Frank F. Jones and William Insane Black E. Mansfield. A popular theory pointed to Iowa State Senator Frank F. Jones, a powerful man who was Josiah Moore's business rival. Moore had reportedly taken away a successful John Deere dealership from Jones. A private detective, James Wilkerson, was convinced that Jones had hired an ex-convict and alleged serial killer, William Blackie Mansfield, to commit the murders. Mansfield was the prime suspect in several other similar axe murders across the country, with crime scenes featuring covered mirrors, a burning lamp, and victims bludgeoned with an axe. However, Mansfield was released for lack of evidence after payroll records provided him with an alibi. Still, Wilkerson believed Mansfield was guilty, and his theory was bolstered by a witness who claimed to see a man matching Mansfield's description boarding a train in a nearby town the morning after the murders. Other suspects and the serial killer theory. The similarities between the Villisca murders and other cases in Colorado Springs and Kansas were too striking to ignore, leading many to believe a single, transient serial killer was responsible. This theory led to other suspects being considered. Henry Lee Moore, a suspected serial killer convicted of murdering his own family with an axe, was considered a possibility. Paul Mueller, the subject of an unsuccessful manhunt for a similar family murder in Massachusetts, was also put forward as a potential suspect, and even a neighbor, Andrew Sawyer, was briefly considered after investigators discovered he was obsessed with the murders and slept with the axe next to his bed. The house of the Moore family, once a symbol of the American dream, became a perpetual reminder of a living nightmare. After the murders, it stood vacant for years, until it was eventually sold and restored to its 1912 condition in the 1990s. The house was added to the National Registry of Historic Places, not for its architecture, but for its grim history. And with that history came a new identity, one of the most haunted houses in America. Visitors and paranormal investigators from around the world.
By night, I am a demonologist.
I am a 5th generation psychic medium.
Oh, holy shit. That's like a copper pentagram there.
That is not Charlie, that is a demon.
Have reported a variety of unexplained phenomena.
There's definitely spirits that are dying for help here.
Boo!
The sound of children's laughter, disembodied voices, and objects moving on their own. The house is open for tours and overnight stays, attracting those who want to feel the energy of the past. In 2014, the house's dark history was tragically repeated. Robert Stephen Larson, Jr., a 37-year-old man from Wisconsin, was staying overnight with a group of paranormal investigators. The next morning, he was found dead inside the house with what authorities determined were self-inflicted stab wounds. The circumstances were immediately tied to the house's unsettling past. Was his death a tragic suicide, influenced by a troubled mind, and the intense atmosphere of the house? Or was there something more at play? The incident only served to deepen the mystery and a sense of unease surrounding the house. Over a century later, the Villisca Axe Murders remain unsolved. The physical evidence is gone, the suspects are long deceased, and the truth is buried in the past. What we are left with is a house, a silent witness to a horrifying act. It is a place where a family was stolen from the world, a mystery that continues to confound, and a monument to the chilling reality that some questions may never be answered. The house in Villisca stands as a constant reminder that some doors, once opened, can never be closed again. And thank you for checking out the video, and please subscribe to the channel if you enjoy horror stories or video games. And comment down below if you have a story you would like me to read, or if you have an idea for a story that I can collaborate with you on. And hit that like button on your way out, please.